What if I told you that making people instantly like you, getting what you want without manipulation, and turning enemies into allies is not magic, but a simple skill anyone can learn? Welcome to the world of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, a book that has transformed over 50 million lives in more than 80 years. Here's what you'll take away today: a powerful secret that makes people listen to you without even trying. The one thing you must stop doing if you want to build real connections. A communication tweak that can win you loyalty and love, even from critics. Let's dive deep into the timeless wisdom that still works wonders in the age of social media and smartphones. Ready? It all starts with a story that shocks you. A notorious gangster who killed people without remorse, yet claimed, "I'm a kind-hearted person." Crazy, right? But here's the lesson. People never blame themselves, even when they're clearly wrong. Carnegie explains this using examples from criminals, politicians, and even US presidents. You see, when we criticize someone, we stir up their pride, make them defensive, and guess what? They don't change. In fact, they become more stubborn. Carnegie uses Abraham Lincoln's story during the Civil War to drive this home. Lincoln wrote a brutal letter to his general for not attacking at the right time. But guess what? He never sent it. He realized that criticism destroys morale more than it helps. Instead, if we understand why people act the way they do, we build connection and empathy. This single shift can transform how people respond to us. So instead of saying, "You were late again," what if we asked, "Is everything all right? I noticed you've been running late a few times." Pause here and think, when was the last time you criticized someone, and how did it go? Want people to like you instantly? Carnegie says, give honest and sincere appreciation. Sounds simple, but we rarely do it. Most people crave attention more than anything else. Not money, not even success, but feeling important. From presidents to pickpockets, everyone is driven by the desire to feel special. The story of Charles Schwab, one of America's first million-dollar executives, proves this. He wasn't the smartest guy in steel, but he was a master of appreciation. He praised people so sincerely that they gave their best just to keep his approval. And the reverse? Criticism kills morale. If you want your team, your kids, your partner, anyone, to give you their best, make them feel seen and valued. Here's the catch. The praise has to be real. People can spot fake compliments a mile away. So ask yourself, who in your life deserves appreciation but hasn't heard it from you in a while? Here's the magic phrase that changes lives. Arouse in the other person an eager want. Translation: make people want what you want by showing them how it helps them. Think about it. When you need someone's help, what do you say? Do you say, "I need this from you"? Or do you flip it and say, "This could be a great opportunity for you to shine"? Carnegie tells the story of a father who couldn't get his son to study. Instead of scolding, he asked the son what he wanted, and then connected studying with that dream. The result? Motivation from within, not forced from outside. This shift makes you persuasive without being pushy, influential without being annoying. It's how leaders inspire action, and how you can too. Your turn. Can you think of one conversation where you focused on what you wanted instead of what they cared about? Here's a truth bomb. People love to talk about themselves more than anything else. It's like their favorite topic, every time. Carnegie emphasizes the importance of becoming a good listener. When someone shares their thoughts, feelings, or frustrations, your job isn't to fix them. Your job is to listen. Think of any great conversation you've had. Chances are the other person let you do most of the talking, and you walked away thinking, "Wow, they're so interesting," even if they hardly said a word. He shares a brilliant example. A guest at a party spoke almost the entire evening about himself to Carnegie, who just smiled and nodded. Later, that man praised Carnegie's conversational skills and called him a brilliant talker, even though Dale barely spoke at all. The secret? Let others feel heard and seen. When you give someone your full attention, they remember it. They associate you with good feelings. So whether it's your colleague, partner, or Uber driver, try this out. Ask about them. Listen, nod, let silence stretch. Try it next time. Can you stay silent for a full minute while the other person speaks? If you want influence, talk in terms of the other person's interests. Carnegie illustrates this through a simple truth. People don't care what you want. They care about what they want. One story hits hard. A father who struggled to bond with his son finally stopped forcing his own agenda and started asking about his son's hobbies. They connected instantly over fishing, something the dad previously thought was boring. The deeper message? We tend to push our own preferences in conversations. We say, "You should do this," or "Why don't you like what I like?" But Carnegie says, flip that. Enter their world, speak their language. If they love cricket, ask about it. If they're into photography, be curious. This isn't manipulation. It's empathy in action. And it works everywhere. Friendships, business deals, customer service. So here's something to reflect on. What's something your friend or colleague is obsessed with, but you've never shown interest in? Here's one of the most underrated superpowers. Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. This isn't about flattery. It's about truthfully acknowledging what makes someone special. Carnegie explains how powerful it is to say someone's name, appreciate their work, or notice the small things they do. He tells the story of a man who nearly lost a key employee until he made her feel truly valued. He reminded her, in front of everyone, how important she was to the company, and guess what? She stayed, and gave even more. The key is to mean it. People can sniff out fake compliments like spoiled milk, but when appreciation is real, it becomes unforgettable. So if you want to win people's trust, look for ways to spotlight their uniqueness. Think back. When was the last time you felt truly seen or appreciated? Can you do that for someone today? Want people to agree with your ideas? Start by showing genuine respect for their opinions. Never say, "You're wrong." Why? Because telling someone they're wrong instantly triggers their defenses. They'll argue even harder, not because they're right, but because their pride is now on the line. Carnegie shares how even smart people can lose deals, relationships, or influence simply by being too blunt. Instead, he teaches a powerful approach. If you think someone is mistaken, try this. I may be wrong. Let's examine the facts together. This humble framing invites collaboration instead of confrontation. He even gives the example of a man attending a fancy dinner who overhears another guest misquote a famous line. Instead of correcting him in front of others, he lets it go. Later, the host thanks him for not embarrassing the guest. The payoff? Relationships were preserved. So next time you're tempted to correct someone, try asking, is it more important to be right or to be kind? Here's a tough one. If you're wrong, admit it, quickly and emphatically. Most people think admitting a mistake is a weakness, but Carnegie flips the script. Owning up shows strength, builds trust, and diffuses conflict faster than arguing ever will. Imagine getting pulled over by a cop. Instead of making excuses, you say, "Officer, I know I was speeding." "I've got no excuse. I'm sorry." Most times, this honesty shocks them, and often wins leniency. Carnegie uses examples of business leaders, politicians, and even husbands who turned tense situations into harmony, just by saying, "You're right, I messed up." It's disarming, it's powerful, and it works. So here's your challenge. Is there something you've been resisting owning up to lately? Want to win someone over? Begin in a friendly way. No matter how big the disagreement, kindness is the secret ingredient. Carnegie tells stories of salesmen who failed to close deals until they shifted from logic to likability. One man went from being ignored to getting a major contract just by taking a friendly approach. Even intense negotiations or arguments, starting with warmth, disarms the other person. People stop bracing for conflict and start leaning in. Think about a time when someone started a tough conversation with kindness. How did it change your reaction? Next time you're about to have a difficult discussion, start with a compliment or shared goal. The outcome might surprise you. Here's a secret weapon in persuasion. Get the other person saying yes, yes immediately. Carnegie explains this using the power of agreement momentum. If you start a conversation with things you both agree on, even small ones, the person gets into the habit of saying yes. That emotional momentum makes it easier for them to agree with your bigger idea. This is the opposite of starting with conflict. When someone says no even once, they subconsciously start to justify their refusal. Think about it. Have you ever started a pitch or proposal by saying something like, "Here's where I think we're disagreeing"? That's already a roadblock. Instead, open with points of agreement. Start with common goals, shared values, or anything positive. Salespeople use this in negotiations. Leaders use it in team talks. Parents use it with kids. It works everywhere. So here's something to try. Can you spot one area of agreement before your next tough conversation? Here's a key to unlocking trust. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. Most people don't want advice. They want to feel heard. If someone's upset, trying to fix the issue immediately can backfire. But if you listen genuinely, they'll calm down and often find their own solution. Carnegie shares stories of business deals won, friendships repaired, and even marriages saved, simply because one side chose to listen instead of lecture. This principle transforms relationships because it gives people what they want most, the chance to express themselves. Instead of dominating a meeting or conversation, try being the quiet one. Ask questions, nod, make space. You'll be amazed at how much influence you gain by not talking. When was the last time you let someone speak until they felt done, without interrupting? This one's genius. Let the other person feel the idea is theirs. If you try to push your idea on someone, they might resist, even if it's a great idea. But if you help them arrive at the same idea themselves, they'll support it completely. Carnegie illustrates this with leaders who used questions like, "What do you think about this?" or "How would you solve this?" to guide people instead of telling them. It's not manipulation, it's collaboration. When people feel ownership, they invest more. They defend the idea. They make it better. Whether you're managing a team or persuading a friend, this shift from telling to guiding is pure magic. Try this. In your next discussion, can you frame your idea as a question instead of a statement? Here's a rule many leaders forget. Praise the slightest improvement and praise every improvement. Even small progress deserves recognition. It's how you nurture confidence and growth in others. Carnegie shows how this works in parenting, teaching, management, everywhere. He shares a story of a print shop employee who struggled to fit in. The supervisor wanted to fire him, but one manager noticed one good piece of work and praised it specifically. That one conversation changed everything. The man's attitude flipped. He became more engaged and productive. Why? Because people thrive when they feel their effort is seen. Even the smallest step forward, when acknowledged, becomes motivation to take the next step. Try this. Instead of pointing out what someone isn't doing, highlight what they are, and you'll see more of it. Who in your life needs to hear that they're improving, even just a little? People rise or fall to meet your expectations. So Carnegie advises, give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Imagine telling a child, "You're so responsible. I knew you'd remember this." Even if they haven't been responsible in the past, now they feel motivated to become what you see in them. Same with adults. One manager needed better results from an employee, so instead of scolding, he said, "You've always been one of our most reliable people." That reputation, whether totally true yet or not, inspired the employee to live up to it. We all want to be seen as capable, smart, kind. If someone believes in us, we stretch to meet that belief. So ask yourself, who are you labeling? And what would change if you gave them a more empowering label? Here's a gentle truth. Make the fault seem easy to correct. When people feel like they've failed beyond repair, they stop trying. But when you say, "Hey, this is a small thing and I know you can fix it," they feel hopeful, even excited to improve. Carnegie uses a story of a parent helping a daughter become more confident with reading. Instead of criticizing, he told her, "You've got such a great memory. This'll be easy for you." And it was. At work or home, if you make improvements seem manageable, people believe they can change. It's about removing shame and replacing it with support. Is there someone in your life who needs to hear, "This isn't a big deal. You've got this"? And finally, a leadership masterstroke. Make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. Sounds tricky? It's really about showing why it matters to them. What's the benefit? What's in it for their pride, growth, or contribution? Instead of commanding, "Do this now," imagine saying, "If you handle this, you'll really help us make a great impression, and it'll reflect well on you." When people feel ownership and see value, they follow through with energy, not resistance. Carnegie reminds us, even when the outcome is the same, the approach changes everything. Next time you're about to delegate or request something, can you frame it in a way that makes it feel like a win for them? This book isn't just about persuasion. It's about becoming the kind of person others want to be around. By using sincere appreciation instead of flattery, listening instead of lecturing, understanding instead of judging, you create connections, trust, and influence that last. Dale Carnegie's message is timeless. The deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important. Help others feel important, and you'll win friends, influence people, and build a better life.